Okay, hello guys. I don't know how long the video is right now. I don't know how long it will be, but I'm guessing it will be long. I'll preface it with that, but I mean, every minute will count in this video. I'm hoping, because I mean, I don't want to waste your time. I've got a lot to say because this is one of my favorite episodes in television. I'll talk about that more at the end, but like, come on, do y'all agree? I don't know if y'all enjoyed it, but what made the episode so much for me was what's her name? The director. Let me scroll. It was Jessica Langagne. I think Langagne. She made the episode. Like, it was good. The writing was amazing, but the directing, the transitions, the flow, the decision to change the film on the flashbacks, like it was perfect. It was an amazing episode, but I will get into it. There's a lot in this episode. Okay, for one, the title of the episode, Chikai Bardo, Chikhai space Bardo, is a Tibetan Buddhist term that refers to the fourth stage of the Bardo, or intermediate state that occurs after death. So it's interesting they do that, as Gemma is like kind of existing after death, and so is Mark. He kind of had that incident, but I think it relates more toward Gemma. I think it's interesting here in the previously on, they showed the one time that Mark has mentioned kids, and it's where he said, we tried for kids for a little bit, but it didn't take. That's all we got. And boy, did they expand on that. But we open on Gemma walking through this tunnel, and it's just from this first shot, I knew I'd love the episode. There's something, just the lighting. It's the lighting of this scene. It caught my attention right away, especially that we weren't in the workplace. You know, we were actually somewhere outside with like a cool sun. But I always wanted an opening like this. I always wanted an opening where you don't know where you are, where you're just someplace distant on planet Earth, and you're just not inside Lumen or apartments, nothing, like just somewhere foreign to the story, but not foreign to us as viewers. But she is at the college campus, and I'm gonna note here that they did an older film for these flashbacks, which I just loved. There was a film grain, and I loved that they literally changed different films. They recorded in different film for the flashbacks, which is just amazing. But we follow Gemma as she sits next to Mark and starts to read at a blood drive. He's doing the same. They introduce themselves, not give themselves blood. They introduce themselves while giving blood. And then we cut to Gemma doing the same in the current time. And as they said before, this is called the testing floor. I think I'm going to talk more about the meaning of testing, because at first I thought it meant like scientific tests, testing blood and stuff like she does here, but I think there's a bigger conclusion by the end. But the doctor says, Gemma, where did you go? After she was sitting down there, and at first I didn't know what this was. I was wondering if this is mentally, where did you go in your head? And I'm actually still kind of wondering that. She could be talking about like questioning her memory to see if she remembers the rooms that she went into, but she was drifting off mentally, seeing like herself in bed with Mark. But after this we go to Mark, who's unresponsive, and we transition beautifully again to his eyes. And I just loved this sequence. This opening sequence was just amazing, even before the intro hit. And Devin and Ragabi are talking over his unconscious body, and Devin learns that Mark's been doing reintegration. Ragabi tells her that Gemma is actually alive, and we see Ragabi kind of leave while Devin crouches down. And we get some shaky camera movement that is directed behind the counter, and I love it. Then we go to Gemma, who's getting tested on with blood pressure readings, measurements, heartbeat. She got checked if she did 50 pages of reading this morning. It's not too much, but I mean, that would take like an hour and a half. Okay, but anyways, then they make her hold like these two rock things, connected with measurements that some sort of magnetic therapy or biofeedback. I'm guessing these things, I don't know what they are, but I'm guessing that's what they do. I tried looking up a machine like that with the magnetic therapy or biofeedback, but I didn't find any specific one that looked like this one. Just machine specific to those things. I can't find anything on that. I'm sorry. If you know what it is, please let me know. But the doctor lady asked if she were caught in a mudslide, if she would fear suffocating or drowning more. Wait, are suffocating and drowning like the same thing though? Either way, you're just getting stuff interrupting your flow of breath and it's blocking it. I don't know. We're gonna skip past that because we got a lot. But after this answer, she says drowning, and the intensity goes to 1200 reading. The doctor turns it off after this. And then Gemma asks how many rooms today. The doctor says 6. And we get to see a reveal that she's like an entire living quarters down here and a pre-selected outfit for her. And there's like an entire place on this testing floor. There's all these hallways and whatnot. But then we get the reveal that there's rooms called Allentown and Cairns first, and those are places on the computer files that they do an MDR that we saw in episode 5. I'll show those right here. Those are files that we saw in MDR that are actual physical rooms. Danesville is one that she passes by, which we do see later in the episode with Mark from Wish. He's over there at Danesville. But then I think Sienna there's one at Loveland, Wellington. And she goes into Wellington, and the doctor lady took a blood prick to enter, which I don't know if I want that. Especially like it was so close to under the nail. Okay, we're going to stop talking about that. I'm getting distracted. But I think it's worth noting that the doctor did it instead of Gemma. Showing, I guess, that Gemma doesn't have access to rooms with her handprint, that it's up to the doctor. But as Gemma goes in this room, she gets the Severance effect, the like the elevator. And a man in here hums the same tune as either another man or him at the beginning of 2 episodes ago, episode 5 as well. You can hear that here. But yeah, it's the same tune. I'm guessing it's the same guy. I don't really see why not. But Gemma asks, could I please get a break? And she thinks that it was just right now, that she just had the dentist appointment. That's why she says this. But it was actually 6 weeks. Severance, once again, touching on the severance barrier and its limits, just like the pregnancy stuff that we learned last season, where she literally doesn't want to feel the dentist, I guess, or she's forced not to, but any that is only at the dentist only exists to be at the dentist. Just kind of messed up. But she literally has to only know living there, which is unfortunate. But she comes out apparently in there 2 hours, and as she's walking through these halls to go to her next room, she passes by one called Cold Harbor, which we know very familiarly. And we go to Devin, who cries over Mark a little, and that's that. But we transition through his eye, or through like behind him into the couch, which then transitions into an eye. Another reason I love the episode, it goes back to another flashback, and I love, like I said before, I love they do a different film grain in literally different film. I'll just bring that up again. But Mark brings Gemma an ant farm as he meets her, and she said she liked plants and actually hates ants. But yeah, then we go to another flashback where Mark bought a crib. And then we see a record, and we see it literally start to skip as we go through their life with all these memories of the flower, of video recordings, and kind of just getting an idea of what their romance, what their life was like. It's pretty beautiful. But then we go to them meeting Devin and Rickon on a date, and Rickon cleans up nice. He does. They made him look younger, and he still cleans up nice. But we go to Gemma in this scene, who does not want alcohol. She's pregnant, or thinks she is. They never answer, but I don't know if she got tested or confirmed or anything. But she thinks she is, at least. But another amazing transition into her eyes kind of growing, or not growing, changing brightness over the time into what will be the bathroom with blood down her legs. The shower turns to rain, and we go straight to last season. Now, last season of the show, we go straight to where she was with Mark and Helly. But I do want to talk about this. I'd say I'd say there's two things that kind of confuse me. I'm not that familiar with, I don't know, children, I guess. Like giving birth, whatnot. I could use some help with that. But generally, the story I got is that she thought she was pregnant. Maybe she was. I don't know why there was blood. Maybe that's when she found out like she's infertile, or did something else happen? That's one of the things I don't know exactly what happened to Gemma and why they couldn't have a child. But it looks like they resorted, at the end I'll talk about, they resorted to methods from Lumen to try and get pregnant. But yeah, maybe she just wasn't able to. Maybe that's what this scene was telling us. There's something wrong with her medically. But then we go to last season, as I said, and then the camera does a really cool flip as it goes down like these strand of wires that leads to a room of people stalking our gang and pressing their numbers accordingly. Like their job is to watch our people and press their numbers, and they are not at a cubicle, they are separated. But this is Dransville. Whatever they're doing, their mission is Dransville. And I think it's interesting, it's funny that they're all similar versions to Mark, Helly, Irving, and Dylan on purpose. They're all our gang from Wish. We get the most time on Mark from Wish, but it's funny, they're the entire gang from Wish. But Mr. Drummond is here, and a man, and this man is the dentist. He looks a little different on the outside, but they're watching the testing floor with Gemma inside. They ask if the severance barriers are holding, and in this scene I was wondering, does he not see them? Mark from Wish, does he not see them, or is he just not acknowledging them? Is that what they meant about the severance barriers? Or is it the severance barrier is about Gemma? Something to do with Gemma, maybe. But Gemma goes into one of her 6 rooms, and as she does, we go to a flashback with some interesting things here. One, there's these paintings that are similar. It shows like the splitting of things almost. They've got like a similar theme and vibe here. And the freaking doctor is here. This is honestly the biggest revelation in the whole episode for me. Or not, obviously not that, but the biggest like secret is that this doctor, the doctor that's working on Gemma in modern day, was there in the past with Mark and Gemma. So, I mean, I don't know, there's a lot of theories you could make from that. Like that's when he met Gemma, he saw her, got like entranced with her, started stalking her, or Lumen was already after her then and wanted her in that moment. Maybe they found her condition or whatever was going on with her perfect for their goals. Like, I don't know, this is just insane. He was there. Then we see Gemma look at a child in jealousy, I guess, and not jealousy, just I guess jealousy. She wishes she had that. But Mark says it's the next step for a lot of people about whatever they're doing here, and she must be infertile. I don't know if that's true or not, but they're taking a patient intake form. Then we cut to her sitting on another couch similar to the one in this waiting room as we randomly go down the hall and up the elevator through the vents. As we see some flashes, we see flashes of the tree she died at, of the supposed accident. We see a nightstand, I think, with this lamp. We see this flower. This is the same flower she watered earlier in the episode that is now more dead, I guess. Some metaphorical stuff there, maybe, because these flashes might be coming after the accident. But we go all the way up here until we see Mark getting dressed as they are doing their final step, whatever that means, giving it a shot. And by giving it a shot, I mean literally giving a shot. Like injecting, I think it was injecting. It wasn't taking. It was injecting Gemma with something. Then, the same guy as the dentist and the same guy that was there in the past, the doctor, runs a checkup while Mark from Wish watches. And he mentions all the rooms that she went to today: Billings room, Lucknow room, St. Pierre, Cairns, Zurich, and Wellington. And he's testing her memory, seeing what she remembers. They're testing this. She remembers nothing. And asks if she left any room in despair. She doesn't ask this. She gets asked if she left any room in despair. And she says that one room she hasn't been to with a new name is called Cold Harbor. And he's like, yes, Cold Harbor. And then she's like, what happens once I've been in all the rooms? And he says, the world will see you again. And he says, so I'll see Mark. She says, so I'll see Mark. And he says, cure will take away his and your pain. And then she says, talk like a normal person. And it's funny. It's incredibly ironic since Miss Casey, might be the weirdest talker in the entire show. And she's asking this guy to talk like a normal person. I know she's not Miss Casey, but she's the same person. They probably did that on purpose. It's funny. But then we get another quick flashback of a sad Gemma, kind of leaning here, sad at more bad news. Then we go back to current Mark, Devon, and Ragabi. And Ragabi says that Mark is journeying and will wake up when he's ready. And Devon begins to bring up the birthing retreat, and Ragabi says she knows about it, she knows what it is. And Devon says maybe we could do that, maybe we could talk to his innie there or something. But Ragabi says this is how we get Gemma out. This is the only way. Reintegration. And then Devon says, I'm gonna call Cobell. That's all right. And then Ragabi says she was raised by them. I think that's a good note. She was raised by them, which is kind of interesting because it kind of makes sense given the little snippets they've given of her history. But being raised by Lumen is interesting, especially, if we think about episode 3 ending. It's like the last time we saw her, she saw that older guy, the driver, and kind of got really scared and ran away. Maybe he was in the raising system of Lumen, whatever. But she starts to type. She starts to pull up Cobell, and the camera only shows her. And I was out here thinking Ragabi was gonna knock her unconscious or something, stop her from talking to Cobell. But she leaves. She just leaves and says, "Do not call that woman." And Mark starts to say something. He starts to say Chikai Bardo, the same as the title of the episode, but it goes right into a flashback where we see him saying the same thing, which is the name of these cards, or the name of these cards that are at Lumen. The cards we've seen in, I believe, season 1, episode 4 maybe, that we saw at Lumen. One of the cards that Dylan stole. Actually, it might be 5 then. I think it might be 5. But we saw Milchek get reprimanded for letting Dylan take card 7197-0, which looks very similar to these cards, if not the same. And I feel like I have a theory on what these cards are. And that is that these cards are an info dump to newborn innies in the world. Something like that. And I'll talk about it. I can talk about it now, but basically I believe that Gemma's testing floor, and why it's called the testing floor, and why she goes into these rooms and wears different outfits, goes to the dentist, whatnot. I think this is all testing if they could do a chip worldwide, if they could sell a chip worldwide and get people to not have to do things they don't want to do, like the dentist. That'd be revolutionary. They'd make a lot of money. And I'm guessing they're testing it on her to see what she remembers, hoping she doesn't. They're using her as the test subject. And maybe these cards are a plan. Like if you send an innie into, I don't know, the dentist, and you give them cards so they know what to do, and maybe they follow these cards. I don't know. That's my theory on the cards, at least. I feel like maybe they're just giving you these innies that don't know much quick info. I think I'm still writing about Gemma being like the testing floor for a new chip. And I don't think that's like any big breakthrough or anything. James Egan did say he wanted everyone to get a chip eventually. And I'm guessing they're going to try, and this is going to be their selling point. Maybe that's what Cold Harbor is. But they're going to try and get this chip out to everyone. They're using Gemma to see if it would work in daily tasks such as the dentist. And that poses the question, like, if this becomes like a big thing and a lot of these get their implants for stuff like the dentist, like Lumen has control over them, like has control over their brains after that. Is that going to be like a storyline, like that Lumen will literally have access to people's minds? Is that going to be like a thing, get them to worship gear? But anyways, Gemma says that these cards came from the mail, and then her and Mark get in a little fight because she says she's drained from whatever she's doing. We don't know what she's doing to improve her birth, but she's drained. But I love the directed decision here to show that these flowers go dark, sort of as her spirit has when they were once bright. Just simple and cool. And then we go to Gemma lying in bed as a light turns on, the current Gemma, waking her in modern time. She has another pre-selected outfit, this time on a plane with the same guy, the same doctor dentist guy. And I mentioned two things I didn't understand at all in this episode, and this is one of them. What? That's all I have to say. What? How is she on a plane? Like, how is she on a plane with this guy? And why is he giving her food and he flies in the air? And then we just cut to her doing yoga the next second later. Like, what was this? Was this some sort of mental exercise? Did I look down for a second and miss it? What is she doing in this plane? Like, I'm guessing it wasn't really happening. It was just somewhere in her head, right? Maybe she was in VR and they were testing her. I don't know. But suddenly she was on a plane and then suddenly she was doing yoga 1 second later. And I just don't know what that was about. And I could use some help if you guys know. But then we see Mr. Drummond once again talking with this guy about the fact that Mark is stuck at 96% for Cold Harbor. And then Mr. Drummond says when he's done with Cold Harbor, you'll have to say goodbye to her. You have to say goodbye. And I mean, there's a few things. It's like, does that mean that they'll return her to Mark? Or does that mean they'll kill her? Or they'll be done with her? They'll be done testing with her? I just feel like that they're not just going to give her back to Mark. Like, that'd be unfortunate. I mean, that would be fortunate, but I unfortunately don't believe that's going to happen. But it's obvious the doctor grew a connection to her. And then Mr. Drummond calls his sweater stupid, so that's great. And then I wonder if we're finishing Cold Harbor in the finale. Seems like a finale thing. They might do it sooner and do more in the finale. Then Gemma puts a ring on as she writes a letter about a thoughtful Christmas gift in a fake scenario, fake room. We have never owned an electric grouter. This is what she's writing. But this is also why the doctor, Dr. Maurer, we learn his name later. He's wearing the sweater, the Christmas sweater. And in this room, and he's her husband, which is a little weird. She believes that this is her husband, but they're celebrating Christmas. And he says Christmas will be back next year, and she says it's always Christmas. So she's an innie that is meant to relive Christmas every single day of your life. It's not the worst day to relive, but it's always the same for each room. The dentist, they only believe the dentist is their life. Christmas, they believe only Christmas is their life. And I say they, talking about like the innies of Gemma, like the multiple innies, which is kind of crazy. And then the doctor weirdly says, I love you. And she says she loves him too. So then we get a flash of Gemma sitting away over here. It's a quick little flash on its own. Easy to miss, I mean. Sitting away over here, it will eventually soon become like her sitting on the stairs, I think. But we see a new name, Tumwater. And then we hear the same song that played when we revealed that Gemma was Mark's wife in Season 1, Episode 7, ending. As Mark destroys a crib while she goes downstairs. No luck having a child. And in the present, they have Gemma listening to this song as she remembers in current time. With some yumminess. She's eating some yumminess. But Gemma allows Dr. Maurer in her house after he shows up, or her living quarters, I guess. Gemma says that she wants to go home, but he says that Mark remarried with a daughter. And the daughter thing is just like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I feel like, I mean, that's kind of messed up. Like, now that we know how badly they were trying, you know, to have a child, and to hear like, oh, he had a child with someone else when he didn't. But he says Mark moved on, and maybe you've moved on too. Yeah, he wants her. He really wants her. And then he picks out one of the books, and it's the same one that she was reading at the blood drive. But before he gets to read it, she smacks him with a chair and leaves her room into the dark. And we saw the cams. We saw the cams early in the episode. I guess they might not be on at night. But I love this sequence showing the lights flash as someone approaches and like following Gemma. And then we see the doctor lady patrolling like she's an NPC. And the lights are a giveaway, but Gemma doesn't care. She runs and is yelled at, but she reaches the elevator and goes up as we go to a flashback. It's some party, or they talk about charades at some party that Gemma wants Mark to go to, but Gemma's just going to go to. He stays and types, and right here in this moment, I was like, damn it, this is where she dies. She's going to a party by herself. He's busy with his work. She's not gonna come home. I was bracing myself for it. I was. And then we see Gemma back at the hallway she went into, like she first went into the elevator, like season 1 episode 8, that hallway, up the elevator, and she's Miss Casey now. So she's got a Christmas innie, a dentist innie, Miss Casey, a Gemma. She's a lot of people. But Mr. Miltrek greets her at the door. I love, this is a perfect example of show don't tell, where you can hear him breathing a little harder when he tries to talk, which just shows us he's clearly winded after he was doing some running. But they don't tell us. He's not, I'm so winded after running over here, or something like that. He says, on you go, again. That's what he said to her last time, and that's what he said to Miss Cobell when she got fired. But she listens, damn it, she listens, and goes right back down that elevator. Then we go to Mark working in a flashback when a car pulls up. A car that he takes notice of when he goes to the front door. And then as it's cutting, we see Miss Casey realize that she's right back down there. Then Mark sees the cops arrive, and another beautifully directed sequence between him and Gemma. They've both lost each other. It was perfect. We had him on the left frame, her on the right frame, realizing that she wasn't going to be able to get back to Mark. And then him realizing that Gemma had died in the past. And them losing each other at different times at the same time, and it was beautiful, but sad. But it's interesting. We saw her doing something for Lumen, and obviously there's a connection to Lumen before she even died. So I wonder if they took advantage of her, or maybe they promised her, hey, if you come with us, we'll make you able to have children again, or something like that. But you're not allowed to tell Mark, or maybe they crashed her car and took her against her will. Something like that. There's all kinds of theories we could make up. But Mark wakes up in the current time, and a random realization just hit me. We haven't seen much Cobell. This season, I mean, she really hasn't been in the show that much this season. I wanna see an episode about Cobell, like we got an episode here. But when he wakes up, this might be my favorite scene of the episode. It made me cry, so it's not my favorite. Maybe it is, but just the impact it had on me. Where Devin says, "Where did you go?" And all we see, he doesn't respond. There's no music. It's just silence as we see 2 images of his wife, and then the credits hit. And then the sad music plays. But it was just, that summarized, I don't know, that moment hit me. Where did you go? And he pictures 2 still images, or two, one's not a still image, and then one is basically 2 memories of his wife, and we know where he went. He got to be with the one he loved, his wife, Gemma, and he I don't think he exactly loves being back here. But that scene broke me. Once the credits hits, I actually started crying a bit. So there was that. But yeah, it got me. And one of my favorite episodes of television, 100%. That is my favorite episode of Severance, by far. And I mean, the finale of season 1 is always amazing. And so is season 2, episode 4. But I just love that episode. It had heart. And that for me is what makes an amazing episode of television, when it has extremely good writing like it does, acting, characters, directing, and heart. The heart was there. As always, the after credit stuff of note. For one, they said that they wanted you to understand what the relationship actually was by showing you instead of just hearing about it, and I love that. And they mentioned Jessica Lagunier directing it. Amazing. She did amazing. And she talks about that she wanted a warmth environment to reflect the opposite of Lumen when we went to the flashbacks. And I did like that as well. Specifically the one with their date, the double date thing. And she mentions how seeing Audi Mark is bittersweet, or Devin does, the actress for her, says seeing Audi Mark is bittersweet since he's always sad on the outside. But someone we never met that will end up being the focus of the show is Gemma. It's Gemma. We've never met her. We don't know what she's like, but now we do, and she'll end up being the focus of the show. That's apparently what Adam Scott said. But then Dan Erickson concludes it with saying that the severed floor somehow contributes to the floor below it, and we still don't know why or how or whatnot. And we saw that. We saw the connecting floors. Kind of interesting. We don't know exactly what that's about, but we shall see. Thank you guys. A longer video than normal. I'm going to stay up super late editing this, but you guys don't care. But I care that you guys watch this. Seriously, thank you guys so much. I gotta get to editing, but have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.